Hey, so I still have like $300 in food stamps before they like cut me off. So I was just trying to like use it, and I went to the food bank tonight and the Berkeley Food Network tonight, and I got like, I don't know, 30 batches of kale. So that's definitely gonna last me for lunch all through the week. And I made this really awesome caprese sandwich, and I got some like braised beef from Trader Joe's. Like I said, I have like $300 left in food stamps, so I'm gonna use every dollar of it. So I think for the rest of the week and through the weekend, we're probably just gonna keep cooking at home, just because it's like I've got that money to use, and it is gonna get cut off. I think I got a letter that said like you're about to get cut off, so before I lose those benefits, I'm gonna use them. Like, anyway, but we did get this really nice bottle tonight. This is a Opaline Pinot Noir Brut Rosé. Just because I chatted with some of the bartenders this weekend and I learned a bit. So Pinot Noir is a type of grape. Brut means that the type of drink is dry. So if it's a sparkling wine, it's dry. I already talked about the difference between sparkling wine and champagne, how champagne is from a particular region of France. This is not champagne, this is sparkling wine. But rosé is also a type of grape. It is, so rosé is a type, it's like a fermentation mechanism. So when you go through the fermentation process, most grapes include the skin of the grape, and then they smash it all together. With a rosé, you don't do that. You actually do not use the skin of the grape. You just use the grape, and that's why it turns out pink, this pink color, as opposed to white. Or maybe you do include the skin. I feel like I might need to research this, but one of them you use the skin of the grape and the other one you don't. And then that's why the actual it's rosé, because it's pink in color, and that has to do with the way that the grape goes into the fermentation process. I'm not sure about all the particulars, but that I learned that this weekend, and so I'm definitely going to read up more about it. And maybe we can read about it together and learn more. Maybe we'll do that tonight. I'm probably going to go get some more rosé if it's not 9 o'clock yet. But I want to talk for a minute about philosophy. Because I'm watching this video by this Canadian YouTuber. Her name is Oli Sunvia. So I will actually pair this with my dinner. I'm just eating the sandwich that I made and watching her video. But what she's talking about is like the meaning of life. And I feel like there are a lot of YouTubers who are trying to like understand society, right? They're like, and when I'm talking about understanding society, I'm talking about like everyone's seeing all this weird behavior, right? You see the super conservatives who are like, we don't like the trans people. Then you see the trans people who are like, there is no such thing as women. And then you see like the people in the middle who are like, what the fuck is going on here? Everyone's so weird. College doesn't matter. All these things don't matter. This doesn't matter anymore. Oh, we don't care about money. Fuck capitalism. Communism is everything. The big question that everybody's trying to answer is like, what are we doing in society? And social science is a thing, okay? And there are majors for this. People study this in college to try to answer those questions. This is another reason why it is actually very important for people to have a liberal arts degree in college, like a bachelor's degree, a 4-year degree in liberal arts. Taking an introductory sociology class and an introductory philosophy class is very important, just so that like that these concepts exist. I'm not saying you need to go do a PhD in them. If you're interested in them and you really want to spend time unpacking these questions, as opposed to being simply a like YouTube content creator who's done no research, why not just enroll in a master's program and a PhD program where you can actually study these things, okay, and read the papers and get paid to do so. And you can be like FD Signifier. He was like in a PhD program for like a few years. This is why all of his videos are like heavily researched and they make sense, okay? Like, don't just get on here and make video essays when you have no like subject matter expertise and you haven't read any papers and you're only coming up with your own opinions. Like most of the YouTubers that you're watching, they're young and they're ill-informed and they're giving you bad advice, like Andrew Tate, like it's really good that we have somewhere to start from. He is ill-informed. If he wants to go, study theology or just go spend more time in the church and consulting with a pastor, that would actually help him, because then he could become an Orthodox Christian if that's what he aims to be. Right now, though, he's been called out multiple times. But even if he wasn't called out, if you actually spend some time in the church or you simply just read the Bible, you would know that what he's preaching is bullshit. The problem is that he's literally walking through the world pretending like what he's preaching is not bullshit. And a lot of you guys who only have like internet degrees are also believing that. And I also want to just be very clear here. If you're a person who's like using the internet to become informed, and you are not spouting ignorance, then okay. I don't think that it's necessary for you to have a degree in order to be intelligent and understand logic and stuff. But for the most part, a lot of people who are out here who have no degrees and are simply using their world view as their own lived experience alone as research is just incorrect, because they're biased and they have a small worldview. These aren't world travelers who've been around the world 2 or 3 times and have lived in different communities all throughout the developed world, the developing world, and they've had access to wealth and poverty, and now they're just sitting in the middle. That's what I'm doing. I've literally done those things where I've been exposed to extreme poverty in the developing world, like India and Africa and Asia, right? And then I've also been in really wealthy tech circles where I've seen the top, and I am talking to you from in the middle. I am just giving you my own real world perspective, which is literally coming from I'm a moderate. I've said that many times. I'm a moderate. I sit in the middle. And I want to just say that there are real majors like sociology, which unpacks societal issues. If you were literally sitting here I don't understand what's going on in society. Society doesn't make sense to me. All of these things that are happening in my community, that are happening in the world, YouTube has magnified it, and I'm just so confused. I don't understand what's happening in society. There's a major for that. It's called sociology. Go enroll in a sociology class. Whatever aspect of sociology interests you, go take more classes in that particular major. If you're oh my God, I care about Black women, maybe you will become a women's studies major. Maybe you will become an African American history major, public policy, education, whatever the issue is, right? All of those are issues that sociology, this broader spectrum of social science, unpacks. But then this woman in particular is talking about the meaning of life. What is the meaning of life? That question is not new. That's the oldest question that humans have asked themselves. And we have an entire major that unpacks it. It's called philosophy. There's even movies so there's a couple movies I think that do a really good job of unpacking the life of philosophy majors. I think Mona Lisa Smile is one of a great movie that does that. I've done a little watch along Girl Interrupted. That's more about a psychology major, right? But I do think there's these philosophical, philosophy, psychology, and sociology kind of brush upon each other in a lot of ways. Though I feel more people in the upper middle class and upper class just have access to psychology related issues and sort of mental health sort of issues. Everyone, also, to be clear, everyone struggles for mental health. It's just that poorer people never seek treatment for mental health because it's not visible, right? You can't see your mental health. It's something that you'd have to assess by talking through societal issues. So you'd have to understand what societal issues are, and sociology as a thing. You'd have to have vocabulary for that and be able to talk about society. And you'd have to be able to have vocabulary and experiences to talk about the way that society should be in relation to the way that it is. And a lot of people who are suffering from severe mental health issues do not have that vocabulary. And then they also have the literal psychological issues that they're dealing with. So it's stuff is packed on top, this on top of 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 this, and then they never get help for any of it. So nobody's ever able to unpack anything. But philosophy, and there's all of these different philosophers, right? People having solutions as to what this should be and what that should be. I mean, I was first introduced into this in like high school. This was in like my junior year of high school when I took a theosite class. I've talked about this multiple times, but we basically had an entire class where we unpacked the high level ideas from certain philosophers like Nietzsche, Socrates, Aristotle. We basically talk. They've written whole books. Like, this is why people know their names in life, because these people, really wealthy people for a while, have gone out. If you're into Buddhism, there's this big idea of what is his name, Nichiren, or is it I can't remember, but there's one of the primary Buddhas. But the big idea is he grew up really, really wealthy, and he just looked out like he lived in a castle. And he sits in the top of his tower in his castle, and he looks out onto the rest of society, and he realizes that they're not living in castles. And it's like, he has all of this privilege, right? Like, his life is in order. He has order. He has every single thing he needs to live his entire life until the day he dies in privilege and wealth. But the rest of the world, as he looks over into society, they're all destitute, and he's thinking like, this isn't fair. So he leaves his castle and he goes out into the world, and he tries to understand